What's up in War Eagle War Report family? It's your guy, Ike Jones here. We are talking a little bit about Payton Thorne, QB rumors to transfer to Auburn. Talk a little bit about Tyrin Lawrence potentially transferring to Auburn for basketball. And Auburn gets a new commit in Jalen McLeod. We're going to talk about all of that on this edition of the Midweek Rapport. What's up, everybody? You got Ike Jones, B. Will, Mike G is in the building as well. We are here, the War Report. C-Dub has the afternoon off. Talking a little bit about a lot of rumors floating around about a lot of different things. But before we get into all those things, make sure you share the video, man. Make sure you get some more people involved in this conversation. Add us on social media at the War Report, at TWR Ike Jones, at Mike Gittens, at TWR_B Will. Whatever you want to do, let us know you're out there doing it. Hashtag get your weight up. Like the video, man. We need those likes. It makes us feel good to see a video with a bunch of likes. Believe it or not, it's a vanity metric for me. I do go back and look at those things. So help my ego and keep us pumping out there on the social media situations. Fellas, how we doing tonight, though?
Not bad. Not bad.
Doing all right.
It's heating up.
Definitely a lot of conversation heating up out there, man. Listen, you guys already know we are working really hard during the off season. Got a lot of things going on. And if you want to be a part of those things, you need to become a member of the War Report. So memberships is really easy. Click the join button. You can come on and get all the perks. A lot of film review things popping off every week. If we have some new people who come on board with us, we'll do some film review on those. I want you guys to be the best and most informed members of our fan base. A lot of people out there talking a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense. You don't need to be one of those. Come on board with the War Report. This is not a place where we're trying to sell you guys or peddle you guys fake insider information. We're just talking in-depth information about the teams that we love here for Auburn sports. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership to somebody, you can do that right now from the live chat. That's been an amazing part of what's been going on. We appreciate all of the people who are current members trying to get other people as a part of the Green Name Gang. So you guys go ahead and make that pop off. Now, we didn't do that this morning, but typically, let me see if I have it in here. I don't even have the shirt in here, man. I was going to do a He Gone shirt. We'll just do a mug instead. That's so disappointing. I don't have a graphic for the He Gone shirt. We'll do a mug. We'll do a He Gone later. But anyway, we talked about TJ leaving earlier today. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. I will get some thoughts from B Will on that. But anyway, hashtag get your weight up right now in the live chat. If you want to be able to get a War Report mug, those are going to be given away at those. That is going to be given away at the 1 hour mark. So make sure that you have your hashtag in there. You have to be present to win that. Thank you to those of you who are on the Facebook and Twitter audiences, but you guys have to be present to win. And we're doing the giveaway on YouTube. So come over to the YouTube stream if you don't have an opportunity to do that. But guys, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about all the things that we got popping right now out here in the universe that is Auburn sports. I said I was going to give an opportunity. B. Will, do you have any parting thoughts for our guy, TJ Finley, who is officially heading out and no longer part of the team?
I echo what y'all said this morning about you can be glad that a guy is not going to be the quarterback of your team no more because you don't like what he did on the field. But even if, and as y'all actually said this morning, he didn't handle things perfectly as the quarterback, either with his play or how he reacted to the negativity around his play from the fan base. But I'm not wishing anybody poorly. I'm not going to do jumping jacks and backflips, and I'm not going to spike the ball at what is already a tenuous situation for a young man who, like a lot of young men, are figuring out where they are in their athletic careers, because this doesn't go the way everybody thinks it's going to go when they come out of high school, man. They have an idea. They're going to go out. I think TJ went to LSU. That's a state college. He's from Louisiana. So you have these ideas of what your career is going to look like and about to look like. And it don't always go like that, man. It's those numbers. Well, I think the NCAA publishes this thing. This is the percentage of kids who go from high school to college. This is the percentage of kids who go from college to the pros. That number gets cut drastically. And no matter how much they feel they have a chance at a certain lifestyle, certain career, not everybody does. And I'm not saying he doesn't, but he's got to figure that out right now, because so far it's been 2 stops and it hadn't really worked out for him. So I think it's okay to be sensitive to what these guys are going through as they're who they are and who they think they are. Those are starting to reconcile themselves. Who they are as players, as athletes, it's changing. And I know a lot of these players are in the transfer portal because they're trying to come to grips with who they are. Like a vast amount are understanding I'm not who I thought I was, so maybe I need to go elsewhere, or I am who I thought I was, damn it. So let me find somewhere that believes in me like I believe in me. And knowing that, understanding what it's like to be a human and have things not go your way, I feel a lot for the young man. And also, thanks to him, giving me the excitement to say that I saw the best passing quarterbacking performance I saw. When he
not going
good,
there.
We're good, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
right,
we knew he was going to go though, right? I mean, we knew. We called it before camp, during camp, after the A-Day. We knew this was going to happen. So best of luck to him. And I actually really mean that, because I think he still believes in himself, and I know his family does. And so hopefully he can find something that works for him. I know it might not be what he thought it was going to be or the place he thought it was going to be, but hopefully he finds somewhere that gives him a chance to actually grow and develop and maximize his talent, because he wasn't going to get that here.
Absolutely. Best of luck to him, man. Happy trails to that young man. And we can close that chapter and move on to the next chapter, which we don't fully know what that next chapter is going to be, but we will talk a little bit more about QB. But before we get into talking about quarterback, let's talk about a player who we know for sure is going to be on the Auburn football field next year, and that is going to be Jalen McLeod. Have you guys had an opportunity to look at this young man from App State?
Yeah, and listen, he plays with an attitude. He plays with an extreme attitude. I like him. I think he'll fit in nicely at the Jack. I think they need some help with that. So the prospect of him and McAllister at that position, kind of battling out to see who's going to be the guy or sharing time, is pretty exciting. I think this is a real good pickup for Ron Roberts' defense with Jalen McLeod for sure.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see anything but the clips from him playing Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Look fantastic as SEC competition. And even though they weren't a great team, hey man, listen,
we got to play Texas A&M every year.
We played Texas A&M. Hey, they had more sacks on old buddy than we did, on their quarterback than we did. So
that's true.
Listen, more props to them. This is great. This is a great example of getting the guy from one rung down, pulling them up to this level, and get a guy that's productive. If you're going to get a dude, get a dude that's been standing out. We can have some question marks about whether or not anybody else that we've gotten has flashed at their level. With tackles, offensive linemen, it's always hard to tell, to fans at least. But no, this is a guy where you look at the stats, you look at the productivity, it's there. So, good pickup by our staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of statistics, 6'1", 230 pounds. He had 18 solo tackles, 6 sacks last year. He had on that one play, he had 2 forced fumbles, like the one that everybody is showing over and over again. He forced 2 fumbles on the same play. He definitely is a tenacious guy along the outside, and he looks like an athletic specimen. He is smaller than a lot of the guys that we have in the room right now, but hopefully he's going to be able to come in and provide some speed that some of those other guys don't have. You talked about Elijah McAllister. I think he is not necessarily a speed rush guy, but he is going to be a stalwart that's able to do and pick up a lot of things. He's played a lot of football, and he's going to be able to pick up some things quickly in that defense. But then you also have the young guy in Keldrick Falk, who's going to be battling for time over there. And I think that he's going to be able to provide some disruption, size, and speed at that spot. But you do need a pass rush specialist. Like, it's one of those things where I don't remember which one of our coaches last year was talking about earning the right to rush the passer, right? And that's one of the things that we need to do a better job of is earning the right to rush the passer, getting them in situations where you're going to be able to bring a guy like this onto the field where he can wreak havoc and just let him loose on a 3rd and 7 and more. Right. We need to be able to get into those scenarios more often. And hopefully what we saw from our defensive line as far as run stopping is not going to be what we see during the season, and we do a better job during the season. But yeah, looking forward to what that young man is going to bring to our team.
Now, hold on, Mike. One thing I saw his PFF grades from last season. He graded out low 80s, high 80s to low 90s as an overall as a pass rusher. However, his run grade was not really that good.
Yeah,
it was mid to upper 60s. So it seems that the best time for him would be specifically pass rushing downs. 1st and 10 might not be the ideal time for it, because what a good head coach would do is run right at your good pass rusher and tire him out, so that when we get to a passing down, he's not going to be worth anything. That's what a good one would do. Or what a good head coach does to counter that, keep him off the field until it's time to rush the passer. So we'll see how that works, though. I want to see how he handles it, how much he can improve as a run defender in the situations where we're definitely going to be getting run at. Because, I mean, if you've seen our tape already, A-Day, hey, you're going to run at us. So we'll see how it goes, though. But that was one thing I saw. And he still graded well because he's a pass rusher. He's not a linebacker, So tackling and
he's not an inside linebacker, but he did play outside linebacker in the previous scheme. But yeah.
Right. His main job isn't to just hit the gap and control the running back. So, but we'll see how that goes, because he could still improve as well. Anybody who comes in here, you still got time to improve.
Yeah. His PFF grades were pretty good, though. His PFF grades were outstanding, actually. So, this is a guy they feel like can help immediately, and they need that this year at multiple positions. So quarterback gets talked about a lot, but they need guys who can come in and contribute immediately at multiple positions, because on defense, naturally you're going to rotate more guys and you need depth. And I would argue you need depth more on defense than you do on offense, in a lot of positions on defense. So, he adds that immediately, and, pulling a guy up from this level, because, App State is one of those schools that, they've been producing pretty good football players.
Yeah. They've had a good program for a few years.
Yeah. So this is not like some nobody guy coming from a nobody program either, right? This is someone who has the potential to play at this level. And, hopefully with the resources and the coaching that Auburn is going to provide, he's going to hit the next level for them and for himself on the field next year. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. I think this was a great pickup.
Yeah, he was the guy that I wanted most out of the names that I'd seen. Right, we heard Jaheim Thomas, which I'm not sure. Have either of you seen whether or not Jaheim has picked up an actual commitment to someplace yet?
No.
The other one that I saw was Seville Smalls, the Washington transfer. He is actually headed to Colorado or Colorado State. One of them. It's one of those teams over there.
When you hot on Ukwu or somebody?
Yeah, the kid from James Madison. Yeah, Ukwu. He had a visit, Isaac Ukwu. I don't know where he is right now. So that's really my question to you guys right now is, do you think that Auburn is done in the edge room? Do you think that they're going to be trying to add another guy to that room? Could we use another edge rusher based upon what your thoughts are?
I think so. But again, you got to add bodies that make sense. And again, Hugh Freeze.
Boston says that Thomas committed to Arkansas.
Okay. Yeah. You still got to add bodies that make sense, right? I don't think they're in a place right now where they just need a bunch of warm bodies. So go out and find guys that fit what you're trying to do and that, fit the culture that you're trying to build. And, I think it's super important too, especially when you're bringing in these portal guys and you've got to fit them with a team dynamic and a team culture in a short period of time. So you bring in too many random guys, man, and what you have is something random. And so at this point, we're in the second portal period. Figure out what your team is going to look like, man, and get guys in here who make sense at this point. Like Hugh Freeze keeps saying, every time a quarterback jumps in, everybody's like, oh, this guy. And then we look at the tape and we're like, oh, well, not exactly what we're looking for. I can't imagine quarterback is the only position that they probably are treating that way.
Right.
All right, a lot of other positions that way, saying, hey, listen, every shiny thing that people think gets in the portal isn't right for what we're trying to do. So, find fit and find talent. And I think that is the key, especially in the second portal period. Because there's less talent in the second portal period, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think that there's talent out there, but you definitely have to be diligent in mining for that talent. It's gonna be in a lot of the skill positions though that you're gonna find talented guys. We're not talking about wide receiver right now. There's some talented wide receivers that are out there. I'm not super high on a lot of them. There's a couple of guys that we've had to visit where I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Maybe this guy, but there some of the other ones I'm just like, I don't know why y'all are so hype about this person just because they played at such and such school or they had this star rating out of high school. Like they hadn't done anything that looks impressive to me. But again, I look at stuff way differently than most other people. But outside of the quarterback, which we'll talk about in just a minute, are there any other areas that you feel like Auburn is really going to be going after heavily during this portal period?
Not really, honestly. No. I think this roster is constructed primarily the way that it's going to be constructed, and the focus needs to start to switch to developing the guys you have. At some point, you just got to stop chasing the next star, and you got to start developing the guys you have. So, in short, no. Like, I think find a quarterback because you need three real scholarship quarterbacks. And then move on with developing your system, right, and getting your system in place.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any position where it makes sense. I haven't heard any updates about Muskrat, the tackle from Tulsa who didn't play in his first year.
Muskrat, right?
I think we need more tackles. Like we've got plenty of offensive linemen, but most of them are interior.
There was the JUCO kid that they just offered recently.
He's like 6'9", 350 or
some ridiculous thing like that. Yeah.
So I think they just offered him, and if he chooses us, then he could actually enroll at the end of the month. I think is what the information I saw. They hit the timeline. I think it was Jay Lee over it on 3.
Okay.
But I think depth at tackle is important because, again, lots of interior offensive linemen, but we've seen what it's like when we don't really have tackles. We got a bunch of offensive linemen and we just moving guys to tackle. It didn't really work. So hopefully we get at least one more guy who can play either left or right tackle. That would be a position of concern. Outside of that, I can't see too much else. I know we got at least 3 solid linebackers now since we're going to kind of be running this 4-2.
So you guys feel nobody mentioned wide receiver. You guys feel good about where the wide receiver room is right now?
I'm not down on the wide receivers. I'm still not down on them. I think they need to develop on the field, but
help the guys you have.
The passing game is going to depend on how quickly the quarterbacks can get a grasp of the system, and assuming that the offensive line allows them to do that. Like our wide receivers didn't get that benefit in 2021. Well, for a little bit they did, and then it started looking cohesive for a minute. Shea turned it on. Kobe was okay, and he had some drops and stuff. But it took them like 6-7 games to get to that point. In 2022, it never got started because the offensive line was so terrible, and then Robbie's shoulder was out. At what point have our wide receivers had the opportunity to actually develop chemistry inside of the same system all year? It's been a minute. So that has to happen. I think you don't know what you have in the wide receiver room until that happens with the offense and the quarterback. I don't know. Would it make a difference if we never get the right guy and Robbie's got another bum shoulder and I don't know, the quarterback gets a bum ankle or something, and then we're on the third string guy who didn't get any fall camp reps? Like, we still won't know what we have at wide receiver. I just want them to pick a guy and stick with him and let him actually develop with these wide receivers. That's what I want to happen. And I think at the end of this year, possibly we know, but right now you could go after another wide receiver, say, hey, man, I like what you can do at the guy from Ohio State or the guy from Colorado or whatever. But what do you tell them? What do you expect from them? If this whole thing about, well, we need somebody who's going to see the same thing as the wide receivers with the RPO. Yeah, but these quarterbacks haven't worked with this wide receiver. Neither. Looks like everybody's not going to be on the same page yet. So I think those growing pains are going to happen no matter who we bring in here. So I don't know that we know what we have, which is why I'm not down on them. I know Coach Freeze said we needed some help there and some work there. Please let these guys, Camden Browns and the Coy Moore and the Omari Kelly and the Jay Fair, I want them to get a chance to shine so we can know what they have. I think we got at least 1 or 2 studs in this room, but they haven't really had the chance yet.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I just think it's more system than it is quarterback and line and all that. I think it's more, is this system going to allow for the receivers to shine? Are you going to be able to scheme guys open, right? And are you going to give the quarterback throws he can make rather than sending him out there and saying, hey, do this, and if you can't do it, then it's just all messed up? Because that's what it felt like before, right? Like they were just sending him out here and saying, this is what we want to do. So you either do it or we'll live with whatever messed up result it ends up as, right?
That was
terrible. Yeah. So like, the receivers, I don't have as many questions about the receivers as other people do, because I think there's talent in there. What they lack is experience. So it's natural to be nervous about what you haven't seen. But everybody who had experience was inexperienced at some point. So this group should grow up together. And when there's a lot of things I have to say that I'm trying not to cross over into the quarterback conversation. But yeah, I think it's going to be more about system than quarterback when it comes to the passing game.
Okay. I don't know that I agree, but I think it's going to be a healthy mix of that. But I think that we definitely have to figure out, in my opinion, one of the two needs to be experienced to start the season to help the other one out. So if you're not going to get a quarterback that's got the experience, then you need wide receivers that already know what they're doing to help the quarterback out, or vice versa. It'd be nice to have both if you want to hit the ground running.
No, or you just need a system that helps them all. Right? Like
the system's going to be what the system is, though. Is what I'm saying. Like that system is going to be what it is.
No, it's not, though. That's
100%.
That's what last year was. The system is going to be what they fit to the players that they have, right?
The play calling will be to do that, but the system will be what it is. The system is.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that is. I don't know.
They're not going to change the entirety of the same thing I said last year.
They're making up the system right now, though.
So understood, but they're
without knowing who the quarterback is.
They're not creating a brand new system. They're going to take a system that they have and do some tinkering. But I said this last year. The problem isn't the playbook that we had last year. It's the play calling. We had the things available to us last year to be able to call, and that showed later in the season. They didn't invent a new playbook when Robbie became the quarterback. They just called different plays. So the system is what it is. So I think that the play calling definitely needs to be catered to the passer or the wide receivers that you have in there. But that system's going to be what it is. They can't invent a new system between now and the start of the fall. They've been doing installs, and they've been trying to figure out what that system's going to be since Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery came on board with Auburn. They're not changing it now just to say, well, we need to make this drastic change because we got a different quarterback lined up.
Yeah, I think in the creation of the system, they've accounted for multiple contingencies, right? Like, but the system is new. This system that they're running this year is new because that's what Hugh Freeze said it was. He said, listen, man, we're taking elements of what I'm doing, elements of what he's doing, and we're trying to figure out what this thing looks like. We don't know what it looks like. You repeatedly said we don't even know what it looks like. So, I just think, whatever that ends up looking like just has to give guys good opportunities to make plays, right? And it has to give your quarterback throws that he can make. And then you may adapt that some based on what the quarterback is capable of doing. But, again, I'm looking more to what they're going to do. And I get what you're saying about play calling, like about adapting play calling, like saying, hey, if our quarterback can do this, then we call this play, I just think that based on who that is, those things may look really differently based on who the quarterback is, and the contingencies that they are developing are going to have to look very different. Like it's not going to be like slight tweaks. Going from Robbie Ashford to Holden Garner to me is not going to be like some slight tweaking on what they're doing, right? And then depending on how well Robbie throws the ball or doesn't throw the ball, they got to have a contingency for that, if that's the guy that you end up rolling with for whatever reason. So, this guy who's coming in, I'm really anxious to get to the quarterback conversation because this is what we're because there's a comment that I wanted to address about quarterback. I don't want to step on that conversation yet.
Yeah, we can definitely. I mean, we'll definitely get there. We want to hear you guys' comments. I am going to go to the comment section and grab a couple of these though. We'll start with Super Chat here from B Will's Forehead, who says, Y'all could have titled this "Is Thorne oh my God, full-throated committed, but you didn't, and now my day is ruined. I am happy to ruin your day in that regard." But thank you so much for keeping that joke alive, B. Will's forehead. Auburn Dad jumps in with a super chat and says, "Wonder if Hugh would bring in a grad transfer QB and a 2+ QB in this year to fill spots and make more competition." That's kind of where we are with grad transfers. Like the 2 quarterbacks that are potentially being rumored to Auburn, both of them are grad transfer guys. They both graduated. Just one of them has an additional year of eligibility. Actually, well, let me amend that. I'm not sure if Thorne has graduated. Does anybody know that for sure? I know he's got limited eligibility. I'm not sure.
He's only played. I checked his stats. He has snaps in 2020, 2021, and 2022. I think he has 2 years.
He does have 2 years of eligibility.
He's got 2 years. I don't know if he's graduated though. I don't think he's graduated because it never said grad transfer when I've seen him talked about anywhere. So
right,
yeah.
I think that was kind of what the urgency was around him getting his name into the portal as well before the portal period closed. So anyway, I can verify that. Not 100% sure about his, and somebody in the chat will probably correct me immediately because you guys definitely have been following this closer than I have. Don L, another super chat here. Appreciate that very much. Is there anyone left at all in the 2021 signing class? Does it really hurt us in a year or two? This is a good question. There's like 3 people left from that class?
It's 5 from the info that I saw somebody print online. I can't remember who. I know we got Jarquez. We got 1 offensive lineman, a less heralded offensive lineman because I can't remember his name at the moment. I think Caden Bridges. There's 2 more players. Huh. I don't know who they are. Isn't that crazy?
Somebody echoes and says it is 5 left from that class. So that was including transfers. Ogle says that it's 5.
Donovan Kaufman and there's at least 1 more. I think Robbie Ashford count as part of that? No. That's before. That was before that.
Garner Langlo was the offensive lineman that you couldn't think of. Somebody just said in the chat.
So 2 transfers. Who were the 2 transfers? I know Kaufman and this is stumping me.
I don't know.
Now I want to know.
Yeah, somebody can look it up, and they say I think a tight end was the other one that somebody just said in the comment section. So I don't know. 5 to answer the question. Don L left from that class, so not a lot.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, is it so bad? Because look at all the upheaval that we've had. Like a lot of those people began their commitment process to a coach that's no longer here, and then they completed that commitment process to a coach that's no longer here. So it should be expected that we'd have that level of turnover when you've had 2 coaching changes since some of them made their commitment. Like a lot of those people committed initially to Gus, and then they recommitted to Brian Harsin. Neither of those coaches are here anymore. So I don't think it's super unusual that a lot of those guys, like the systems that we've gone through as far as changes are concerned and the number of coaches that these kids have had, I don't think it's super unusual that there be a lot of those folks missing from the equation right now at this point in time.
Yeah. I mean, really, when you commit to the first, a lot of people committed to Gus and was like, well, I'll see what this next regime is going to be about. And I can't think of one time where a guy commits to a place where they committed to a former coach, that coach leaves, and then they stay, and it works out playing for a coach that you did not commit to. So many of the turnover, like I think at Cincinnati, right? They lost their coach at the end of the year. Some players jumped in the portal. A lot of them stayed through the spring and was like, you know what? Nah, I don't like somebody here.
That's what's happening in Colorado right now. Like
like
they came in the door telling them they was about to leave, and they stuck it out through the spring, being like, "Yeah, we gonna prove them wrong." And then post spring, they was like, "We'll holler at you."
All right. I mean, people that he brought in from Jackson State, that were here with him. I don't know what could have changed between when he was your coach 5 months ago at Jackson State to now, but something they did not like about how Dion was running the shit.
I saw the numbers. It was above 30. The number of transfers that they've had.
Oh man, yeah. So I mean, this happens when you have enough turnover at the head coaching position, instability for your program. So that's the majority of what's going on here at Auburn so far.
Yeah, a lot of craziness going on with the transfer portal. A lot of these other questions have to do with quarterback. So we will come back on the other side of this break and talk a little bit more about the quarterback. But you guys are watching the Midweek Rapport here, sponsored by auburnsports.com. We'll take a little pause right quick, pay some bills, and we'll be right back at you with what everybody wants to talk about, the quarterback. This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors, auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to auburnsports.com. Harmon Mechanical, a heating and air company offering premier service to the Auburn area and surrounding areas. Give them a call at 334-219-0717 or head over to their website at harmonmechanical.com. Let them know the War Report sent you. Harmon Mechanical. We're there when you need air. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. For all of your motor oil and related products, head over to wareagleoil.com. Definite thanks to all the sponsors of the War Report. We appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with us out here on these internet streets. If you want to be a part of what we got going on, you can click that join button. There are a lot of wonderful things happening right now in the world of film. I know I love doing this film, but you got to be a member to be a part of that. If you want to watch film with me, you need to join, and it's $5.99 per month to be able to get that on demand. But if you want to watch the live streams and be there when we're doing it live, you can get to the supporter level to do that. But we thank all of you who continue to support us in that way. If you are a member and you want someone else to join in that family of the green names, membership gifting is available to you right now. Go ahead and gift a membership to somebody you love. Actually, you don't get to give it to a specific person. I take that back. YouTube will actually assign that to someone randomly. So if you want to be able to do that, make sure that you go ahead and have that jumping off right now in the live chat. You can gift a membership to somebody. We're giving away stuff as always. A mug to somebody is going out here. Make sure that you are locked in with us by hashtagging Get Your Weight Up in the live chat. And you got to be present to win. We'll be doing that drawing here in just about 30 minutes. So if you are here at that time, we will give somebody a mug courtesy of War Eagle Oil. And if you didn't know, we are the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report, everywhere that you listen to podcasts. So if you want to be able to hear us in audio format, replays of a lot of what we're doing with the morning drop, and we have audio only stuff coming up, Mike, Mac, and memes. When is the next Mike, Mac for me, Will?
It's going to be up in the AM at 9 a.m.
Okay, so tomorrow morning, the next Mike, Mac, and memes, you guys can check that out. So that's audio only. You can only hear that if you are locked in with us on the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. But let's get back into the conversation. Let's get to the primetime stuff, what everybody came to talk about. And let's talk a little bit about this quarterback situation. The rumors have it that Auburn is close to getting a commitment at quarterback in the transfer of one Payton Thorne from Michigan State, Michigan State transfer Payton Thorne, rumored to Auburn right now. The most recent guy was Casey Thompson, but Mike G has been wanting. You want me to address the comments that you wanted first, or do you want to just go straight into what you wanted to talk about in regards to this, Mike?
Yeah. I mean, there was a comment by some dude, Jesse Stedison or something with On3, and he was essentially saying that Auburn needs to get either Thompson or Thorne, and that would be the difference between making a bowl game and not making a bowl game.
I did see this, yeah.
And I was like, all right, like, this is a problem I have with people who talk about Auburn but don't cover Auburn, right? Mm-hmm. This team, in the middle of a mess, of the messiest of messes, fired a coach midseason, no real system to be told of, couldn't throw the ball, came up one game short of a bowl game. Getting Thorne or Thompson is not going to be the difference between making a bowl and not making a bowl. As a matter of fact, I think this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? Hugh Freeze is going to be the difference between making a bowl and not making a bowl. Coaching, system, culture, like actual structure, buy-in from your players is going to be the difference between literally winning one more game over last year and not. Getting a viable quarterback will be the difference between just barely making a bowl and having a pretty good season. And when I say pretty good for Auburn, I'm meaning 7 to 8 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, I don't know where a lot of these guys get off. Like, Ike had talked about, how Thompson, you talked about like what the ideal situation was between getting Thorne and Thompson. Mm-hmm. The other on 3 guy, JD, I call him Pickle. I think it's Piqueo. Like, it was like Stephon Urkel, so like, I think that that the idea that he's on this whole thing about these quarterbacks saying, like, if you don't get one of these guys, your season's done, like it's over. And I don't understand. I don't understand that sentiment here. I don't. Now they're going to add somebody. Certainly, they're going to add somebody. And we've heard a lot of things that we can't necessarily talk about, right? About who they're looking at and who's possible that comes in and when they come in. There's somebody already reporting that Thorne's commitment is imminent.
Right. Yeah.
And I would argue there are conflicting reports out there. Not to say that it's not necessarily, but like, it's just, I just don't understand where people are going thinking that this decision between Thompson and Thorne is going to make or break whether Auburn makes a bowl game or not. I don't get it. If they could muster 5 games in that mess of what we saw last year, just adding Hugh Freeze as a coach, getting some real buy-in and having a real offensive system with the talent and I think the other problem that I have, guys, with the idea that it's Thompson or Thorne or no bowl game is that it, to me, assumes that nothing else on this team got better. Auburn will not be better anywhere if these guys are going to be the difference between winning one more game or missing a bowl game completely. The problem that I have with guys commenting on Auburn, but they clearly don't cover Auburn. This is why fans don't trust the national media, because they get out here and they say stupid stuff like this. And I'm just like, well, that's not based in reality at all about this team. I don't know how you can project that now. 6 wins is such a low bar. Now, to be clear, if you had given me the over-under on 6 last year, I still would have taken the over.
Yeah.
They came damn close to that. Overtime loss to Mississippi State. LSU was like probably a game they should have won.
For sure.
So don't give me this whole thing that these portal guys are going to come in and be the savior of Auburn football. I'm not buying it. I think that they can add something, certainly, of value, of extreme value to what they're doing. But, for Auburn to be successful, and when I say being successful, I don't mean just barely making a bowl game. It's going to be a marriage of all these things. And to say that the quarterback is going to be the difference between making a bowl and not making a bowl suggests that the other things don't matter at all. They're all going to be the same. And you're going to get a good quarterback and you're going to squeak into a bowl. What? Give me a break. Jarquez Hunter is way better than that. This run game is going to be way better than that. This run game, guys, is not going to be squeak into a bowl good. It's just not. They got 303 yards on Bama last year. If the offensive line improves at all in the run game, they could have a pretty good season. Now, I know that's not an absolute, and I know that it's hard to project now here in May. But I don't know how you're looking at what they did last season and saying nothing's going to get better in year 1. Offensive line, it'd be damn hard to get worse.
It would be difficult to get worse.
It would be really difficult to get worse. And I know
we've at least upgraded talent-wise. Now, whether or not they play better,
together, right.
Yeah, but the talent is at least better along the offensive line. I don't know that anybody can deny that.
Mm-hmm. If every one of these things that was dysfunctional gets 5% better year over year, Auburn is 1 to 2 games better. That's how close some of those games were. Now, mind you, there were some close disasters too, i.e. Missouri.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was close on both ends. But to me, if you could almost fumble away a game like Missouri, right, and then still almost win a game like LSU in the same season, that
literally the next week.
Yeah, that tells me that the gap that people think exists is not as wide as people think that it is. And it was not as much on the talent as people are putting it on. This is why I keep going back to, I think the biggest issue is going to be system and not players. Find a system that works. Figure out how to maximize those guys in that system. And that should be worth 1 to 2 games. The ball bounces right your way a couple games. That might be worth another game. All of a sudden, you're at 8 games. And so that we're clear, this is probably one of the easiest schedules Hugh Freeze could have prayed for in year 1. Go back and look at the 2023 schedule, man.
Yeah.
This was a prayer of a schedule. I'm like, listen, man, I don't know who he like. Look, I do know who he prays to because he's very open about it, right? But it's working because in year 1, he got his dream schedule. He literally got his dream schedule. So don't give me this just barely make a bowl game crap. Now, this is not me saying Auburn's going to go out and compete for the West. But if you in your mind, if the bar is still at barely make a bowl game or not, based on whether we get Thompson or Thorne, what? They can make a bowl game with Holden Garner. This team can make a bowl game with Holden Garner. They can make a bowl game with Robbie Ashford. That's what Hugh Freeze should be good for. $6 million means you don't ever miss a bowl game. That's $1 million a win, coach. Y'all seen John Wick? 7 bullets, $7 million. That's $1 million a bullet, baby. So, like, this is where I'm at with this thing, man. I see a lot of takes the last 24 hours, a ton of them. On Thorne, on Thompson, on where Auburn's at, and about how much they need each guy. Right? And I do believe they need a guy. This is not me sitting here saying they don't need a guy. I'm saying how it comes together is not going to be all on the guy that they bring in. Right? They're putting a lot of weight on a guy who is leaving his situation for another situation. I don't think that's particularly fair to whoever wins the starting job either. Not in year 1. Not in year 1 of the Hugh Freeze era. So who knows? I don't know. Like I said, that schedule, I don't know why people are so down on Auburn's chances about going out to Cal and getting a win. I've seen a lot of negativity around that. Now I get it. We generally do not perform well when traveling to the state of California in football. So, okay. But, the Cal won, 4 games last year? I think they were a 4-win team last year.
They weren't good.
I don't know, man. If you think LSU was that good and they made all those strides and Auburn did what they did with them last year with a coach that they fired a few weeks later, give me a break, man. Come on, dude. 6 wins. If they set the over-under at 5.5, take the over. Hammer the over. Unless you just don't like Hugh Freeze and you don't think he's a good coach.
Yeah. There are those people who are out there who are like that as well.
Anyway, I just had to get that out. I mean, it's just reading a lot of negativity on social media about the prospects of the season and how much even just having a serviceable season leans on whether they get Thompson or Thorne. And the whole thing's going to fall apart. They don't get either one of those quarterbacks, apparently. I don't
understand the commentary around we won't make a bowl game if we don't land one of those 2 quarterbacks. I think that's a little overblown. But here's a thing, though, that I always caution people about, understanding that you can get better in a vacuum, but that doesn't mean that you're better in the landscape, right? So I don't know. I haven't paid enough attention to teams to even know where their improvements have made, right? Like us almost beating LSU. Did LSU get better than last year? I don't know the answer to that. They're another year under the same head coach. They're another year better, probably defensively, having understood kind of where they are with their stuff. I don't have any gauge on how much better LSU is this year. I don't know how much better Texas A&M is. They were terrible last year, right? So are we better than Texas A&M this year? I don't know the answer to that. They got a bunch of talent on that team, a lot of talent left, right? I don't know how much we feel like Bama's coming back to the field a little bit, right? So we could be in a better situation when it comes to that game. As far as Arkansas, they beat the brakes off of us last year. Are they that much better than us? I don't think that that's true, right? We had the Missouri situation, which we barely won. Our crossover game this year is against Vanderbilt. I will be very upset if we lose to Vandy. I'm sorry. Like,
okay. Ike, for reference, because you were going through the schedule, I just want to make sure I do this for everybody who's listening at home. If you're re-listening on pod or if you're rewatching this on YouTube, right? September 2nd, UMass.
Should be a W.
September 9th, they travel out to Cal.
Should be a W, but we'll see.
September 16th, Samford.
Should be a W.
September 23rd, we already know what B. Will's going to say, Texas A&M. Worst coach in the SEC West right now, right?
I know who he is, but he got a much better play caller. And I think they already know who their quarterback is.
No, come on, man. You're always good for Jimbo hate.
I am good for Jimbo hate, but you know what?
Jimbo ain't running the offense.
Jimbo ain't running the offense no more. Okay. So that worries me. I would be more comfortable if I knew that it was still Jimbo's play caller.
Say he meddles. I would say he meddles. And
and Wegman, the quarterback that they had, I mean, he kind of got to clean up the scraps last year, but he looked better than the other two quarterbacks they tried out there. Oh, man, so now I'm like, man, y'all they don't have to go. That's true. So they gonna want some revenge. They don't have to go through this whole. What was it? The QB they started the year with last year? He was terrible.
They started with Max. No, they didn't. They started with the blonde hair kid.
King. Haynes King?
Haynes King.
Was it
Haynes King? Haynes King. So they don't have to try out this guy who looks miserable against and gets you beat against App State. There's a lot that they don't have to do this year that they did do last year. And they don't have to put up with Jimbo's play calling. So no, I can't pencil that as a W yet. Would I like to? Sure.
Okay. Well, so give us your prediction. W or not?
Know.
I'm not putting any.
I can't call. I don't even know who our quarterback is. How would I make a call? I don't know who our quarterback is.
You can change it.
No, you ain't gonna have me on tape talking about some y'all trying to get on me. Let's get the quarterbacks together in fall camp.
Okay, all right, fine. Right after that, September 30th, Georgia. L. LSU, October 14th. At this point, the team should be coming together. This could be an interesting toss-up game.
And off a bye week.
Right. Depending on how Hugh Freeze's squad is coming together, this could be an interesting toss-up game. After that, they've got Ole Miss at home and Mississippi State. So you play the Mississippi schools in back-to-back. Tell me that Auburn can't compete with both of those schools right now.
Yeah, I like us against Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
Yeah, I don't see any one of them as markedly better than where Auburn's going to be next year, especially if
as long as we're able to stop the run, then yes, because Ole Miss is definitely going to run the ball.
Right?
After that, Jackson Dart, yeah, we good.
Okay, a little bit of a hot take for me here. November 4th, Vandy, and I just don't think this is a gimme. I think this might be.
They don't have Mike Wright again this year at quarterback.
He left.
They've got question marks.
Vandy's actually there. Yeah,
they got question marks for sure. But I don't know, for whatever reason, this game worries me just a tiny bit. It's at Vanderbilt, not exactly an intimidating environment, but we'll chalk that as a W, right? Then you finish your season, Arkansas, which Ike has already addressed, and New Mexico State. Now, if I were finding 6 wins on this schedule, I would say UMass, Samford, New Mexico State are 3 wins right there. I would throw Cal in there as a win. I would throw Vandy in there as a win at 5. And then you have to beat some combination of Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State or Arkansas to make a bowl game. Tell me which one of those schools beside LSU are, again, markedly better off than where Auburn is right now. They all got hella question marks. maybe more stability in coaching. But again, that's why you went out and paid $6 million a year and hired a new coach to seemingly erase that deficit in coaching, the coaching deficit. Hugh Freeze has got to be good for a win in there somewhere. And if quarterback pans out and improves, then maybe a couple more of those games end up being W's on the schedule. We end with Bama. I know they got some things in flush, but until Auburn wins that game, I'm chalking that one as an L. That's going to be an L in my book until we get to Iron Bowl week. So, I think that this is this is a very favorable schedule.
No, it sure is. It definitely is a
very
schedule that leads in our direction to be able to make something happen this year. I agree.
Yeah. So, I don't know how you're looking at that. And you just say, oh, well, Auburn sunk, man. Bowl game, barely a possibility. They'll be lucky to win 5 games. Or they'll barely get to 6. No, I think if nothing changes on this team, they'll get to 6. If nothing changes.
Yeah.
Right?
I see 7 as the floor, honestly.
It should be. It should be. But we'll see. We'll see. Does the coaching staff fumble away a couple games this year? Right? You hope not. You hope that's why you made the coaching change. Yeah. But I know they fumbled away a couple games last year. For sure. And they tried their damnedest to do it in others. Before Cadillac took over. So, yeah, I'm just telling you, I don't get the negativity. I don't think the talent gap is as big as a lot of people are painting it out to be. And if Hugh Freeze did a good job in his portal evaluations, this team should be markedly better already.
Yeah, we've talked about this plenty of times. I don't think that the issue for Auburn football has ever been talent, right? Like, it's been maximizing the talent that you have. And this is where I will agree with your statement about system and putting people in the right positions. I do think that the system matters a lot to how you utilize people. This is a thing. If you guys were on the Twitter space with us, was that Monday night? Last night. I was talking about, I anticipate this team going into more 2 tight end sets than I had previously anticipated. Looking at the previous stuff that the coaches had done, I think that they're going to utilize multiple tight ends on the field, which will allow us to have pass catchers that they're more comfortable with more consistently, likely flexing one of those guys out as a wide receiver, but still they're going to have some differences and nuances in this system that they haven't shown on tape. And with those changes, I do anticipate some differences in what they've done previously in either of their stops before now. So it's going to look different, to your point, Mike, about how this offense is going to be versus what they've done traditionally in previous coaching stops. But I do believe fundamentally that Auburn is not talent deficient. We just need to get guys understanding what they're supposed to be doing in this system. The defense took a while when they shifted over to doing more zone and trying to figure out how to play the back end of that defense, right?
Right.
This is a different defensive system as well. It's going to be a lot of moving and the hybrid situations. It's going to be more like what we were used to in Kevin Steele as far as challenging on the outside, more press man coverage. But the back end cloud stuff that they're going to be doing and a lot of the stuff that they're mixing up with those middle guys, those the 4 linebacker types in this system are so important. The jack, the star, and your 2 middle guys. So important in this system. If you don't have the right guys, and then the nose tackle needs to anchor properly in the middle. But like, those 4 types allow you to do so much. Those 4 people are going to be so crucial to this system. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we step up in those ways. But that's the place, if I'm talking about where I don't know, offensively, I'm not as worried about Auburn this year. That sounds crazy to say. I'm not as worried about Auburn this year offensively because I think that we can move the ball. I think that we're going to be able to put up points. I am concerned right now with what the defensive front is going to do because I just haven't seen it. We got a lot of talent at linebacker. Are they going to be able to do what they need to do? We got a lot of talent at jack. They haven't done this stuff. We haven't seen them do it in this system. The star position, not as worried about. The defensive backs, not as worried about. DJ James is going to be all-star, all conference, whatever. He's going to be an All-American next year. The other side, I think we got enough guys to rotate to that we're going to have some talent out there. Safety's not super worried about. Super deep there. Front 7. What are those guys going to do is where I'm looking at and saying, if they play well, then this defense is going to be amazing.
Right.
But I just don't know.
Yeah.
Just don't know yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm with y'all on all of that. I will say this about what our floor is and what our ceiling is based on the quarterback. If and I mean, this is where we're supposed to be going with this. Let me get on the record before it's possible that he signs. I was not thrilled with Payton Thorne as a prospect for Auburn.
Fair
it's
enough.
Not that he can't be good. It's not that he wasn't good. If you're going to essentially delay the development of Robbie Ashford or Holden Garner, please let it be for somebody just extremely special. Let it be, because when he gets on the field,
special in this portal period, though.
I know. I know we're not going to get special in this portal period, and that's part of why I don't want to delay getting to see whether or not the guys we have in our room can be the guys. I think Mike said, "Hey, well, just develop your guys." I agree. I want to see these guys develop so I can see what they have. I think the worst case for Auburn. Well, that's not true. It's not the worst case. If he brings in Payton Thorne, or if he brings in Casey Thompson, and Hugh Freeze wins 8 games because one of those guys started and he never got to a Robbie Ashford or Holden Garner, I think that's a win because we improved our wins. We're more than bowl eligible. We knocked off, hopefully, everybody that we were supposed to beat, and we set our floor as a program. But it would kill me that we never got to see what Robbie Ashford could be if a coach invested the time in him and put him on the field for long enough to see exactly what he could do. And I'm pretty sure after that, Holden Garner will be just out of here. Just like, yeah, I'm peace. Here I go out. So I burned 1 year. He'd be a redshirt sophomore, but you got Walker White coming in. If it's Thorne, there's no guarantee he would even be gone after that. And then you'd have Robbie, who I don't know if he would be graduated at that point, but he's already used his regular transfer. There's too much in front of Holden at that point. We never get to see what he can do. Robbie, at that point, you might not even get to see what he can do. Maybe he graduates and gets up out of here. I want to see the guys who committed to us get a chance. Like, I want to see them get a chance. And that would be my regret if it happened the way I just described.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Hugh Freeze has a responsibility first and foremost to win games. He is the coach. He knows what he wants in a quarterback. If the guys who are here are not exactly what he wants, then he's going to say some positive things outwardly. But I think internally you go, all right, so I'm going to get my guys, which is why I was so sure before we even started the spring, he's going to get somebody else. It had nothing to do with who Holden Garner could be or who Robbie Ashford could be. It was everything about, but these aren't your dudes. And too many times, I think me and Ike was talking about a work situation. It's like, listen, man, you go in there and you're like, all right, well, I'm about to change this company because I'm the new CEO. And yeah, everybody just change everybody out. You go on. It's like, you don't even know what the people in here could do. You didn't give them a chance. You took one glance and decided that none of these guys in here were going to fit what you wanted to do as good as you wanted it to be done. And you were going to go get somebody else, but you don't know that because they ain't get shit. So I think necessity sometimes is going to find you something spectacular. We heard so often about how when Gus wanted a guy who could throw, right? Apparently that's why we didn't go after Lamar Jackson, because Gus wanted a guy who could throw. So we were so confused as a fan base because the first 2 years we had a dude that could run crazy, ridiculous athlete. Nick Marshall, he set productivity records between passing and rushing. And when we didn't get a guy who was a run-first quarterback out there, we're like, what the hell is Gus doing? Because what he wanted was somebody who could throw proficiently. So when he got his Sean White, he didn't have a big arm, but that's more what he wanted. But it's like, was that the best thing for you, though? Was that what you needed? You found something special out of necessity because Nick Marshall was the only guy who had played any quarterback, and he had played it for 1 year in JUCO after playing corner at Georgia. He wasn't exactly what you would have gotten if you had been at Auburn 3 years, Gus, and had the opportunity to scout who you wanted to scout and bring them in. But that was the best possible thing that he could have gotten. And again, I'm not saying that Robbie Ashford may not be a prototypical Hugh Freeze quarterback, but he may be the best thing for him. I don't know that. I'm just saying, do you not know? Like, how can you make that assessment based on a couple years of guys playing at Michigan State and somebody else's system? What have you seen them do that translates to what you want to do as an offense and as in a quarterback in your system? I don't think any of this is settled. I think some of it is just strictly preference. Like, yeah, you're cool, but I'm gonna go get this dude. And I really just hate the idea that some of the guys on our roster who have been here, who have been putting in their time and their work, would not get a look. That eats me up, man.
Yeah,
it's definitely.
I agree. I agree with that.
There's
100%.
a lot of super chats in here. Let's get to these real quick. Thomas Jones with the super sticker. He drops in a chat and asks, it's been almost a week since Casey Thompson has visited and no word. Does that mean that to you guys that they are concentrated on the Michigan State quarterback? Thoughts on Casey Thompson versus Thorne in regards to this QB transfer situation?
Yeah, I think Thorne is the preference. I think Thorne is the preference. So
I've been avoiding this particular soapbox, but I'm going to give a little bit of how I feel about this.
This is so hard.
I don't understand what it feels like, and I'm a guy who tries to avoid the idea of media narratives, right? That drive conversations, but it feels a lot like there has been a narrative driven to try to get Thorne to be the guy. If you are a member of the media and Casey Thompson, you know he's scheduled to come and visit Auburn, why would you drive a narrative while that man is in the air on the way to Auburn, Alabama, that Auburn prefers somebody else? Like, why would you start that conversation while Casey's on his way there? I never understood putting that out there, being like, Casey Thompson's visiting, but Auburn don't really want him. They really want this other dude, right? And then continuing to drive this even after Casey makes his visit, that, yeah, he made his visit, but Auburn really wants this other. What do you just not want? Like, do you just dislike Casey Thompson? Like, I don't care what you've heard from the whispers in the back halls, unless Coach Freeze and his staff actually want to dampen because that was an official visit. Why would they pay for Casey Thompson to make a flight, come down here, visit Auburn, only to ruin the chances that they would have for getting Casey Thompson? Like, that feels weird to me. So that doesn't feel like that's been generated by Coach Hugh Freeze. So then I have to wonder, why would somebody else put that out while he's visiting? What made you feel like that was a good idea? Why would you sabotage your chance? Because if for some reason you don't get Payton Thorne, you sabotage your chances with the other dude. Somebody make that make sense to me, because I'm not seeing the perspective that lends itself for that making sense. And maybe I just don't see why it would make sense. So somebody explain it to me. Somebody in the chat, do you one of you guys? I don't understand.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't explain something that doesn't make sense, but I agree with you. Right, if you know two guys are visiting, right, then putting out a narrative that one is preferred.
You could never be my wingman. Let's be clear. Anybody putting that out could never be my wingman. Hey,
Mike, you said you want the blonde, right? The blonde, right? This one right here. Not her.
Did you see me talking to a girl right now?
Right. I guess the brunette is out.
What are we doing?
I guess she's out.
That junk blew my mind, bro. I was like, what are we doing right now? Are y'all serious?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's wild.
It was my family. I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's wild.
I'm off that. So, my internet's acting janky right now, isn't it? Y'all are like catching me like 30 seconds later.
A little bit, yeah.
I just like
Anyway, I'm off there and move on. To answer the question, I don't know that we're off of the Thompson situation. I just know that a lot of what's been going out in the media has definitely damaged it to I don't know how it makes sense anymore, or why Casey Thompson would want to come here. So Corey Weber. Justin brought up a good point. Cornerback depth, James Pritchett, Lee, Rim, Tyler Scott coming this summer. Are we good depth-wise? Thoughts on the cornerback?
Well, and Keontae, he's basically at least going to be a nickel all the time. But I don't – 4 corners, or really 5 corners, counting Keontae Scott. I think that's plenty to – you got your outside corners, you got a nickel, and then if either one of those guys get hurt, you got another in both spots. With playing experience, I think we're good at corner. I don't know. I know we had supposedly been going after another corner in the portal, but I was a little surprised. Excuse me, I was a little surprised at that too. Like, I think 5 or 6 corners, counting the freshmen that are going to come in here in the summer. I think that's plenty. But I am not a football coach, so I'm, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I think that we've got plenty of depth at the corner. They're going to rotate plenty of guys through. So I'm not concerned about where we are in terms of that position. That's one of the few positions where I'm just like, nah, we good.
I'm excited about Ken Lee.
Auburn dad jumps in. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Ken Lee is exciting.
Yeah, you're good.
Auburn dad with the super chat says, by the way, thank you for helping with my Rogue Shop questions. Talked to the owner and got straight. Put in my order. Rogue Shop definitely supports their customers. Richard will be glad to hear that. We'll make sure we pass that along to him.
Love hearing that.
B Will's forehead with the super chat says, not trying to defend anyone, but did we say there's no way we didn't get a little better last year than last year before the coach potato and the potato posse fell apart? So we don't want to jinx it this year. So basically,
y'all be killing me with these potato comments. I'll be trying so hard not to laugh at them.
Yeah.
Hey, so to be fair, we said, hey, this much better. Everything looks good, right? And then we found out 2 things. Number one, the same offensive lineman came back, and it wasn't just another year of strength training. It was those guys running the system they wanted to run. Because again, the last 4 weeks of the season looked very different from the offensive line. So it was without changing your personnel, trying to force guys to do something that they weren't equipped to do. That's what it was. And I am cataloging this experience of what it was with Brian Harsin saying, no, these guys are just going to do it and do it better. All right, that doesn't work. You better get some new guys, and try to do what you want to do, because if they aren't able to do it the first time, getting the same guys and just banging your head against the wall without changing something is not the solution. But we changed a whole lot on the offensive line, a whole lot at edge, and a whole lot at linebacker. Major positions of need. We changed it. We improved it. Well, at the very least, we improved linebacker and offensive line, I think, with the talent that we brought in. Edge, I'm not sure, because we did have Derek Hall and Echo Leota, before Leota got hurt. And I think those were some 2 very, very good edge rushers. So will we be able to step up to that level? Now, maybe you can say, well, now we have enough talent to be comparable to what it was when it was just Derek Hall on one side as the one edge we could count on. So maybe we're already there, but we improved our talent in the rooms where we were deficient. And that's why I have some hope that things have actually improved somewhat on the team this year. But you're right. We shouldn't count these chickens before they start hatching. We need to get on the field and see what we got.
Well, we will definitely be able to see that soon enough. B Will's forehead jumps back in with another set saying, you're triggering people, Mike. It's Turner with a G, in reference to how you pronounce young Holden Gurner's last name.
Sorry. I'm so
Holden
sorry.
Gurner.
Yes. I apologize for this. Pronouncing people's names correctly is very important. So, yes.
Super chat here from AMAC, who said, I'd rather have taken either the Colorado or the TCU wide receiver and let Hugh develop the QBs we have. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah,
So let me say this, and I said this when we talked about it. Jordan, what's his last name from TCU?
I don't remember.
He was not coming to Auburn. He took a visit here. He was going to SMU. Like, I understand that he took a visit here. There was a low probability he was ever going to come here. We do have a better shot with the kid from Colorado. I don't think the Ohio State's going to really be a guy that we take. And the reason why I'm saying stuff like this is I'm thinking about what Coach Hugh Freeze has said he wants out of his quarterbacks, out of his wide receiver position.
Okay.
And when you look at the kid from Ohio State, I don't know that he really has the speed. They want people who can take the top off from an outside receiver position. Got Camden Brown, not a burner. You got Coy Moore, who's going to be running, not a burner. You do have Amari Kelly, who can get out there, but he's not really tall and a burner, right? Like, he wants somebody 6'1" and up, which is right where Amari Kelly is, knows how to run that system if he's going to bring him into transfer portal, but with some wheels. Or they need to be insanely good with route running, right? Like there are really 3 places where wide receivers win. You either win at the line of scrimmage, you win at the top of the route, or you win at the catch point. We don't have a guy who really can do all 3 of those things. We don't have a guy who runs really crisp routes, can get past you and get out of his break super clean and then win at the catch point. Like that's a dynamic number 1 receiver. We don't have that guy. We got some guys, I think, in the inside that can do a couple of those things. I think Coy Moore is a guy who can win at the line of scrimmage, can probably beat you at the top of the route with some of his work. But he just don't have the speed to really just kind of run past people. Javarius Johnson, not particularly like crispy route runner guy, but he's got good speed, and he wins at the top of his routes, usually out of his breaks. He's kind of fluid in how he does it, but he's not one of those make somebody look silly at the top of his route type of guys, right? But good receiver, good speed. Jay Fair's probably the closest to a guy who can win at the line of scrimmage and at the top of his routes with speed, but because of his size, he's not really going to be a guy who's going to win at the catch point, right? Like he's got good hands, but he ain't going to body nobody up if it's a close situation, right? So it's got to be a really good throw.
Right.
Camden Brown, not a lot of speed. He can win at the catch point, not going to beat you off the line of scrimmage though, right? So they're looking for more speed for guys who can just, hey, when he's on the field, that safety's got to play a little bit deeper.
Right.
I think the kid from Colorado could be a good mix of all of those things. I don't think the Ohio State kid is that guy. I don't actually think the kid from TCU is that guy. Right. So for the situation of the guys that are potentially out there, I know people are saying things maybe about the Michigan State guy. If rumors are to be true about that, then if we get Thorne, we're not getting the wide receiver, right? So you lose your chance at one of those guys by getting the other one more than likely. I don't know. I didn't get into Michigan State back room, rumor mill situations to find out whether or not they've kissed and made up and all that kind of thing. I don't really read the Michigan State tabloids. So I don't know what the situation is with that. Anyway, to the point is, I feel you on this statement. Any thoughts about rather taking a wide receiver than getting the quarterback?
No, not really. Like I said, I mean, I don't the either or is, to me, is, kind of like a non-like thing. Like, just if you can get both, why can't you get both here?
Yeah.
Right. But if you had to have just one, I've always been in favor of developing the guys in the room, but I want to be clear. They have to go out and get a quarterback. They need a viable third scholarship quarterback on roster. Yeah. They have to have that. So, remember Brian Harson's first year, man, by Iron Bowl, if they had a viable third string starter, that guy would have played.
Yeah.
Instead, you had to send a quarterback out there on one leg because you didn't have one. And if you don't have enough backups, then you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Build depth. I mean, I think the thing is just build depth at every position as much as you can. And hold on for dear life in this league. Good God.
Yeah, definitely need the depth for sure at that position, specifically at quarterback. Let's get to this drawing really quickly, guys. We're giving away a mug. We appreciate everybody who's been rocking with us all this time. But we are going to give away a mug. You got hashtag get your weight up in order to be able to get to that mug. Y'all know I don't really like wasting a whole bunch. Caesar's not here to prolong it, so I'm gonna get straight to the money. Somebody's gonna win a mug today, sponsored by our folks at War Eagle Oil. We appreciate them for continuing to support what we got going on. Today's winner of the mug is Valencia Jackson. Good to see you out here in these streets, Valencia. If you're still here, let us know. So
hey, Valencia,
mug over to you. All right. Last topic that we've got here, Mike, before we get out, is Tyrin Lawrence. Tyrin Lawrence is rumored to be an Auburn commit in the making. I don't know how much, that's actually true, but there's a lot of people who are saying he's pretty much a done deal. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know much about this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't have any thoughts because I don't know much about this one.
But he's the transfer. He's the transfer kid from Vanderbilt that a lot of people. I've seen a prediction it's like in the 60s though. Like it's like 60-something%. So I don't even know if that's Valencia. Boom, there she is. Valencia is here. What's up? Good to see you in here. You know what you need to be doing. You need to send us that good email to business@thewarreport with your address so we can get your mug out to you. But yeah, Tyrin Lawrence is the 6'4" guy in the transfer portal from Vanderbilt. Prolific scorer, 3-level scorer. A lot of people are saying could potentially be coming to Auburn next season. I don't know how confident I feel about any of this until it's actually a done deal, because 2 weeks ago, people swore Matthew Cleveland was a done deal. It's going to be Matthew Cleveland, or it was going to be the kid from TCU because his coach was coming over here. And now all of a sudden, it's definitely going to be Tyrin Lawrence. And I'm just like, do y'all actually know anything, or y'all just like throwing? I do wonder sometimes, and I know I'm taking a lot of shots at media folks today, and I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this because I have some friends in the media that are good, right? So this is not an overall thing that I feel about media in general. But I do sometimes feel like people are just throwing stuff on a dartboard and deciding this is what we're going to say today. Like, I just don't know that they actually are cultivating any real information. They're just kind of guessing a lot. But they put it out as not a guess, but as like, this is what's going to happen. And that's frustrating.
I know there are a few guys who definitely were in the know on the Thorne situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely were in the know. But there's a lot of guys who don't cover Auburn who are not in the know.
Right.
And they're just tweeting out foolishness, man, and it doesn't make any sense. So Hugh Freeze is going to figure this out, dude, because he has to. And I think that fans should not freak out either way that he decides to go. He thinks that he can win games with, one of the guys that they currently have in the room. But he'd be foolish not to cultivate options. I think it's stupid not to cultivate options. What's the best option? That's why he gets paid $6 million a year.
Yeah.
Right. To figure out what that best option is. So, the guys who are speculating, unless you talk directly to Hugh Freeze, I'm not sure what you're speculating about.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't know where people are getting their information from, so I'm not going to question their sources. C Hall with the chat here says, I'll be watching the morning drop in Costa Rica tomorrow. Well,
hey,
we don't do a Thursday morning drop, so this is a flex for no reason. You flexing on everybody talking about you're going to be in Costa Rica.
God, that was one of my favorite vacations I ever went on, Ike, was to Costa Rica. I had a blast down there, so have fun, my friend. Go down to Cocoa Beach. Play some poker down there. They can't.
Never been to Costa Rica, but apparently I need to put that on the bucket list.
Yeah, definitely.
Next comment that we had here was James Barnett saying, if he's from Vanderbilt talking about Tyrin Lawrence, can he play immediately, or is it different for basketball? The interconference transfer rule dates are different. I don't even know if there is one for basketball, but yes, if he came, he would be able to play immediately. But yeah, the dates are completely different for the transfer portal around basketball. It's a different sports calendar, so not related to what was previously happening with a lot of what we were talking about with football. B Will's forehead says, trust Bruce Pearl in regards to who he's going to get. You absolutely have to trust the guy that you're paying all the money to, regardless of which sport it is. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, well, that's it. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Mike G?
Don't freak out, guys.
Oh, well.
100%. Like, listen, I'm going to go ahead and give y'all some tea here on the quarterback situation, because it has not, I don't think that, it's been said, and I want to be the first to say it.
Okay.
Auburn is 100% going to start a quarterback game one. Somebody's going to go out there.
Yep.
You heard.
Actually, I did see on Twitter, shout out to our guys at the Uptempo podcast, that somebody broke that news earlier this week.
Did they?
Man. That Auburn is going to start a quarterback.
Well, credit where credit's due, right? But I just don't freak out about this quarterback stuff, man. If you're going to believe in anything, believe in Hugh Freeze. That's your easiest way to peace and tranquility this fall. Believe in the coach. Because stressing out about how players project is not a good formula for peace and prosperity. These guys have a lot of things that they're facing. It's the coach's job to help them manage all that and help them put themselves even in a good place to get the most out of their talent. And he's got to do that.
Dustin right here. This is from the Uptempo podcast. He was saying
that's me. Yeah, Dustin. Hey, listen. Me and Dustin got beef right now. but we'll deal with that in the DMs. We'll deal with that in the DMs. So yeah, I just feel like they're gonna put a quarterback out there, and this whole thing where everybody's so anxious for news. I think they should be more anxious for what Hugh Freeze is going to do in the fall. With the guys that he has, because it's not just quarterback that they've got to figure out how to use the talent to the best of their ability. He's got to. I mean, listen, if Jarquez Hunter Ike runs for less than 1,000 yards this season, I'll be extremely disappointed. I think a less than 1,000-yard season in this season of all seasons for Jarquez Hunter would be a disappointment. Like, Auburn's got to get back to producing 1,000-yard rushers, man, and they've got to get back to controlling the ball on the ground and dominating at least one aspect of the game offensively. Auburn should be a dominant run team that can pass. Ideally, that's when it's worked best for them. Dominant run game with a competent passing game. Now, if you want to give me a prolific passing game, I'll take it. I've been waiting 3 decades on that, Ike.
Right.
on a prolific passing game. But however it has to happen, that's just why I feel like they got to do. They've got to figure out what that formula is, whether it's be good at the run, competent at the pass, be good at the pass, competent at the run. Dominate both. And your SEC champs, baby, figure it out. Now, I know he's not the highest paid coach, but $6 million a year is not a small amount of money to give anybody to do any job. I expect excellence. First and foremost from the guy being paid all that money. Right? And then I expect excellence from the guys who he is charged with leading, because they are a direct reflection of his leadership and ability. So get it done. Go out there and get it done, whether it's Ashford, Gurner, Thorne, or Thompson. Jarquez or Damari or Batiste or Cobb. Whoever you send out there, man. You know what I mean? Coy Moore said it like, listen, a lot of y'all behind these Twitter fingers, talking a lot of crap about people. And they don't know what it's like to go out there and try to compete, man, and get this thing done. But you're supposed to be supporting what they're doing on the field. So support them. Right? And put the pressure on the guy making the money. And stop attacking these kids on Twitter. That's how I feel. Put the pressure on the guy making the money. Stop attacking kids on Twitter.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes of all of the things going up this season. A lot of unanswered questions, but they will get answered soon enough. More flexing coming from the comment section. This is my last TWR for a couple of weeks. My flex is I'm going to be visiting a couple of spots in Mexico and Honduras.
Ooh, Honduras.
The War Rapport family out here is international traveling. Not mad at any of that. Todd Jordan, I wanted to end on this one, lays out what his plan would be at quarterback if he had his way. Casey Thompson, 2023. Robbie Ashford, 2024. Holden Gurner, 2025. Walker White, 2026. He has the next 4 seasons planned with the quarterback succession set up, according to how Todd would like to see it go down.
All 4 of them. All right. I feel
listen,
that.
This is not a bad succession at quarterback. If everybody wanted to hold fast to this this route, one dynamic season from each of those guys, send them to the league. I'm not mad at being able to do this. This has worked at a lot of schools. This is how a lot of schools do. They make you a dynamic QB for a year and they ship you off to the NFL. So it's not something that's unheard of. Be nice if it worked out that way. Don't know that it actually will, but we will see how that goes. All right, man, we are about to get out of here. Once again, if you guys don't know and you want to become members of the War Report, you can do that. Click the join button to get on board with what we got going on. Film reviews happening. I'm not sure I will have a film review for you guys tomorrow because I have some business I got to tend to on the road. But if I can get to it, I definitely will get you guys some more film. But if not, there's plenty of film for you to go back and watch. Those old film reviews are definitely there for you. If you're a new member, you can go back and watch those if you're a new patron member. If you want to gift a membership before we get out of here, you can do that from the live chat. Really easy to be able to do that. Let somebody else experience the War Report on your dime for a month. If you didn't win something today in the drawing, don't worry. You can head to thewarreport.com and you can buy yourself something pretty. So go ahead and spend something on yourself, make yourself feel good, get you some War Rapport merch. New merch coming soon. I've been teasing that, but don't worry. I got y'all with some new merch popping off. Before you get out of here, make sure that you share the video so other people can get in on the conversation. Comment to us what you feel about the quarterback situation. We didn't talk a lot about it, but definitely talk about Jalen McLeod down there. Tyrin Lawrence available to talk about. Make sure you give us your comments on all of those things. Like the video before you get out of here. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit us up on social media. We are the War Rapport on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TW Rapport on TikTok. That's it, man. We're out of here. Until the next time, we will be back at you guys for sure Friday morning with another morning drop. Otherwise, I might get you another film review if you're a member. But that's it, man. We're out of here. Until the next, as always, War Eagle. Peace.
War Eagle.